Stimulus sign-off. The House approving increased stimulus checks of $2,000 for Americans, up from the $600 promised in the $900 billion stimulus bill that President Trump signed on Sunday night. Now, he's been pushing for lawmakers to increase the checks, which gained support from both parties. The bill, though, now heading to the Senate for approval. A lot of moving parts. Let's bring in former White House Communications Director Alyssa Farah. Alyssa, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl. Great to be with you.
Yeah, so let me first start with what we're going to expect to see today in Washington, and that is the Senate is going to take up the House vote from yesterday with regards to the checks and also really the defense bill. This would be the first time that we've seen President Trump actually have his veto overridden. What do you expect to see today?
So that veto override will be sustained in the Senate. But listen, I think it was an important symbolic measure that the president took. He's been raising concerns about Section 230 and how America's adversaries can use it to exploit vulnerabilities in our systems, use it to spread disinformation and misinformation. So it was certainly a concern that was germane to the NDAA. But fundamentally, at the end of the day, we've got to fund our troops. We've got to give our military the support it needs. So I anticipate that we're going to go forward and have that authorization go through.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I mean, military paychecks and operations overseas, and you know, this is our nation's heroes, our men and women, you know, that really need that support. And I'm glad that that's likely going to happen with the Senate today. But also, let's talk about the other kind of disconnect that we're seeing with the stimulus issue, because you know, the president really wants to see $2,000 going out. There was an agreement last week on $600. Some Republicans have expressed concern about, you know, basically an exploding federal deficit and too much spending. What do you make of kind of the back and forth that we're seeing within the GOP right now?
Well, I think the president absolutely made the right decision by signing that omnibus and making sure that even the smaller $600 payments start going out. Americans are hurting. Businesses are struggling at unprecedented rates because of COVID. So we've got to get, you know, a little bit of help is better than none at all. But I also think, you know, two things can be true at once, that it's important that Congress look at doing these larger payments. And just I would note, as this goes to the Senate, the vote on the $2,000 a month payments, that was introduced in the Senate by Senator David Perdue back in July. And there was some widespread support. So I think there is a chance that this could end up moving pretty quickly through the Senate. But it was important that the president go ahead and sign that because people need help now.
But do you think that the Republican-led Senate, Mitch McConnell, is going to vote for $2,000 in those checks? I mean, do you think that's possible?
I think it's possible. There's some political dynamics at play, as you know, with the Georgia Senate races. But also, here's what I'd say. We're in unprecedented times. I think most Americans, you know, you raised the point about the deficit, fundamentally believe the most important thing is we let Americans get back to work. That's the best way to stimulate our economy. Mm-hmm. But we're still in a place where we are not fully opened as a country, and getting this much needed aid, if there were ever a time to justify it, that time is now.
All right. And you mentioned Georgia. I want to pick up on that because obviously the president, I think it was Sunday night actually, said he's going to go down to Georgia. He's going to be campaigning for Loeffler and Perdue. And you know, I want to talk to you about that because, you know, the president's motivation. I'm curious, when he goes down and he holds these big rallies, obviously he gets an amazing amount of support. But do you think that he started to think about what's next for him, not just, you know, with his role in the party and the GOP, but also there's a lot of talk about him running again in 2024?
Well, I don't have much visibility into his future plans, but I will say this. 70 million people voted for President Trump. He had historic turnout with African Americans, with Hispanics. He did, in fact, grow the party despite the outcome of the election. So I'm sure he'd be a very popular figure if he ran in 2024. But I also think Republicans have a very deep bench going into it. You know, some of the names out there, Nikki Haley, Mike Pompeo, Vice President Pence. So we're in a good place regardless. And I think the president's looking at his options.
How are you feeling about Georgia? You know, obviously, if you look at Kelly Loeffler and the Republicans she ran with back in November, they would have beat Raphael Warnock, excuse me, if they were one candidate, but they were two. So he had a three-way race that's now down to two. So I want to ask you about the Loeffler race and also about the Perdue race as well.
So we're confident she's going to pull it off. It's tighter than it should be because we're seeing unprecedented outside spending. So you've got Hollywood liberals, New York liberals who are pouring money into Georgia to make Georgia look more like Hollywood than Georgia itself. But Raphael Warnock in particular, if elected, would take Kamala Harris's mantle as the most liberal senator in the Senate. And it doesn't make sense for the most liberal senator to come from the state of Georgia, a state that, a Jimmy Carter Democrat was the kind of Democrat we expect to see. So Senator Loeffler is a strong candidate. We think she's in a good position to take him on. But all eyes are going to be on Georgia for the next week.
Yeah, they certainly will. Well, again, President Trump saying he's going to go down and support both candidates. And as we both know, he gets a lot of strong support, and he likes to bring out folks, and they will probably be there. Alyssa Farah, it's great to see you.
Thank you.